Next thing, what we're doing is we're going through this Go programming language book by Donovan Kernighan, whatever his last name is. And we are just doing page 17, exercise 1.8 and 1.9. And so I'm going to copy this. And to do that, let's go to the terminal and come up a level. And then do copy 054, and we'll put that to, oh, I need recursively. Dash recursively 054, and we'll put that to ./055 and page 17, I guess we'll call it. And so now if I come down here, sweet. And now what I want to do is modify fetch to add prefix HTTP to each argument URL if it is missing. You might want to use strings has prefix. And so I'm going to get my URL, and I'm ranging, and my range goes from here to there. Right? You see how that got highlighted when I clicked on this one, it highlighted. I click on this one, that one highlights. I click on this one, that one highlights. So my range goes all over all of this. And so what I want to do is I get my URL here, and I want to see if it has, so I want to see if it has the prefix HTTP. So I'm going to do a switch statement. And a switch statement is, there's switch and there's select, and the select is for when you're selecting a channel. And I'm going to have some cases. And then there'll be some code that runs on each of those cases. And one case will be, it'll be strings.has prefix. I'll save that to bring in the strings package. I'm just waiting for strings to show up. It's not coming in. Let me see if I do it up here. Strings.as prefix. And not getting a string on my import. I've got an error on my case here. No quick expected operator found just that. All right, so I need something there before it lets me do anything. So I got to write my code first. So the first thing I want to check is how does have prefix work. So godoc.org/strings, and I'm going to look for has prefix, and it takes in a string and then a prefix, and prefix tests whether the string S begins with prefix, and it returns bool. And so it's going to take in the URL, and it's going to look for HTTP, and that's a string. And so I'm looking to see prefix, which is a string. And it asks me to check to see if it has the HTTP : :/::::. And so if it has that, it'll return true. And if it doesn't have that, it'll return false. And so if it doesn't have HTTP, so we'll say if it doesn't have HTTP, let's just get rid of this one for a second. Wonder if I could do not, yeah, that looks like it works. If it doesn't have that, then we're going to do, we want to add something to the string. Has prefix, prefix. Let's see what we got for prefix. Trim prefix. We could just concatenate, but I'm wondering if there's something here. Like join will join a slice of string, but that's kind of, so I think concatenate will be fine. I was wondering if there's like add prefix or something like that, but I don't see anything like that. So we will do URL is equal to HTTPS : plus URL. And we also want to see if it, so if it doesn't have the prefix that, it will add HTTPS. And if it does have the prefix HTTP, we want it to have HTTPS. And so we're going to take the HTTP off. And so that will be like trim. And the string, cut set string, left, string, cut set string, right. I think left will do it. Trim left returns a slice of the string S with all leading Unicode code points contained in cut set removed. To remove a prefix, use trim prefix instead. Trim prefix returns S without the provided leading prefix string. If S doesn't start with prefix, S is returned unchanged. So we want trim prefix. So we're going to do strings.trim prefix, and we're going to pass in the string, which is the URL, and we're going to pass in HTTP : whack whack, and it returns a string. So we're going to get if our URL has just HTTP : whack whack, we're going to trim HTTP : whack whack, and then add HTTPS whack whack. And if it doesn't have HTTP, then it will add HTTPS. But now this one's not going to have HTTPS. So I think we need to do, if it doesn't have HTTP, trim HTTP. Oh man, logic. I want to get rid of, here are my different cases. It could be www.google.com. We could have HTTP : whack whack www.google.com. We could have HTTPS : whack whack www.google.com. And this is going to be fine. This will be add HTTPS, and this will be add HTTPS : whack whack. So what's going to be the way to test all of that? So if it doesn't have any HTTP, then we are going to do this. All right, so this is this case. Right? So if we get that, we aren't going to have HTTP, HTTPS, any of that, right? So it's going to add HTTPS. Make sense? So the next case is we just have HTTP : whack whack, and there's no S, so we want to add HTTPS. So we're going to remove HTTP : whack whack, and we're going to add HTTPS. Okay? And then the next one is if it's HTTPS, it's fine. We don't need to do anything. And so those are our two cases. Because we either have no HTTP or we have HTTP. And this doesn't have that prefix. Doesn't have HTTP. We're going to add HTTPS. And if it doesn't have HTTP : whack whack, if it does have HTTP : whack whack, we're going to take that off and add HTTPS. So we could just take off this part. So I'm going to assume that at that point it has : whack whack. I guess, I don't know, we'll try that, see what happens. So now we have our get URL, and then all of our other codes. This is 54, 55. And we're going to pass in And I guess we want to see, instead of printing all that out, we're copying to standard out. Let's just func.println, and this is the next example, modify fetch to print the HTTP status code found in response status. So down here, we'll do func.println, and we have response, and then we have status code. Cookies location right, status code, header, body, content length, transfer encoding close, request. And so I guess we'll do like header, and we'll do status code, and we'll do, we'll do response dot request dot URL. So headers are all up here. And if we wanted to, we could do a for key value : equals range response dot header, and then func.println key value, and so content type, like here are the different headers and our status code, and then HTTPS google.com, when what we asked for was www Google, right? So, and if we ask for HTTP // Google, it's still going to take off the HTTP and put in an HTTPS for us. So that was modifying fetch to add the prefix HTTP to each argument URL if it is missing. You might want to use strings as prefix, and modify fetch to also print the HTTP status code found in response status. And response status. Let's see what response status is, because we did, oops. Hey, I put in the Apple icon somehow. That's a trip. We did, let's see what the status is, just status. Status code versus statuses. 200 OK. Do you all know this one? Status code 418, I'm a teapot. And if you go to google.com /teapot, and the reason that exists is if you look up status codes, and this is the easiest way to see them. As a joke, when people were writing the specification back in the 90s, somebody said status teapot, and it's never been removed from the specification, so Google just created a page to have status teapot. And if you go to Twitter status codes, yeah, you can look at Twitter status codes, developer twitter.com, and one of their status codes is 420, which in California is like code for smoke and dope that the police use or something like that. Like all the dope smokers get excited when it's 420. They're like, hey, it's 420, let's go get high. But their code is enhance your calm, and that's returned when the app is being rate limited for making too many requests. So if you're bugging their server too much, they give you back a 420. It's kind of funny. So that's, I don't know what the heck, that's just the next exercise. And I will stop this video.